Coming up in the news, the Minister of Labor and Immigration revealing that the unemployment rate is up to 30%. Also, Grand Bahama and Abaco will figure prominently in the Ministry of Housing's agenda moving forward. And the Marcos City Member of Parliament vying for leader of the Free National Movement. The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, starts now.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, Northern Edition.
Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Shashina Wolf-Parkinson. As always, it is so great to have you with us. Topping news this evening, the Minister of Labor and Immigration making his contribution in the House of Assembly, focusing on the state of unemployment in the country. The minister also delivering some good news that the government is looking at increasing the national minimum wage from $200 to $310 weekly.
Minister of Labor and Immigration, the Honorable Keith Bell, expressing grave concern over the high unemployment rate in the country. As it stands, the unemployment rate is between some 25 to 30%. During the minister's address in the House of Assembly this week, he noted that the government is committed to introducing policies to expand the economy and to create jobs. Minister Bell says the Department of Labor, which has a little over 100 public officers, is a critical unit within his ministry.
There has been the appointment of a new director who is charged with improving the overall efficiency and productivity of the department, while at the same time restore a level of communication and trust with our social partners, particularly the representatives of workers and employers that was virtually non-existent before September 16, 2021.
He says the transformation of the Department of Labor is well underway and new policies will be implemented.
The production and submission of a restructuring plan for the department, the development of a 3-year strategic plan for the period 2021 through 2024, designed to deliver the PLP government goals and objectives as outlined in the speech from the throne, the blueprint for change, and the PLP's economic plan, the introduction of a policy that will facilitate ongoing and continuous dialogue between the workers' representative and unions, the development of a plan to establish regular dialogue with the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce.
According to Minister Bell, the government is looking at increasing the national minimum wage, and the Department of Labor and the Department of Immigration will streamline the process of labor certificates and work permits. And as for the National Tripartite Council, he says consideration will be given to the following issues.
Implementation of the Bahamas Decent Work Program 2021 through 2026, consider the possible enactment of the National Productivity Act, the commitment of the government to use its good offices to ensure that the spirit and letter of the law regarding industrial agreements in all sectors are expeditiously concluded, amend the Industrial Relations Act 1970 and the Employment Act 2001.
Now turning to the National Training Agency, which was created to support the development of the workforce of the Bahamas. Minister Bell noting that since 2017, the NTA has not lived up to its full potential.
We intend to conduct a comprehensive review of the NTA and, to the extent required and feasible, introduce additional programs, staff, and support to ensure that this vital agency carries out its intended mandate. In this regard, Mr. Deputy Speaker, there will be a restructuring of top management.
The Labor and Immigration Minister says he assures all Bahamians that the Department of Immigration will be firm but fair. He says just recently, the government's immigration policies were put to the test as hundreds of irregular migrants were intercepted in Anagua.
To commend and thank the immigration officers for the work that they did recently, and I am pleased to report that as a result of the joint effort with immigration and law enforcement officials, all of those irregular migrants who came to our shores recently in Inagua have been successfully repatriated without incident. An estimated 1,052 Haitian immigrants were repatriated in October of this year.
He notes that the Department of Immigration is addressing the backlog of applications and is quickly transitioning to electronic submission for applications, adding that there is a zero tolerance for fraud and the submission of fraudulent documents. Minister Bell also addressing the issue of promotions and confirmations for immigration officers. He says the PLP government did not waste any time in dealing with the matter. It's Halia Hall, ZNS Network News.
Well, Grand Bahama and Abaco will figure prominently in the Ministry of Housing's agenda moving forward. This coming from the Minister of Transport and Housing, the Honorable JoBeth Colby Davis, in Parliament this morning. Minister Colby Davis says she wants the residents of Abaco and Grand Bahama to be assured that this administration will ensure that focused attention is placed on the rebuilding of homes and livelihoods on these northern islands post-Hurricane Dorian.
I intend to provide housing across the Family Islands. I think it's important to single out Abaco and Grand Bahama because they have been suffering for far too long following the disaster of Hurricane Dorian. A further update will be provided when we finalize our plans surrounding present subdivisions and other suggested areas being proposed by my technical team. But I must say that I have already committed to the MP and the Minister for Grand Bahama, who is smiling and winking at me, and I've committed to the MPs in Abaco that I will be making a trip over there in Luthra. Yes, I have made my commitment.
Well, it's official now. Member of Parliament for Marco City, Michael Pintard, has entered the race for the leadership of the Free National Movement. Pintard making the announcement last night during a ceremony at the British Colonial Hotel in Nassau. Now, Pintard becomes the third Grand Bahama MP to vie for the top leadership post within the Free National Movement. Member of Parliament for Marco City, Michael Pintard, says he was overwhelmed by the support he received by Free National Movement supporters as he officially launched his bid for leader of the party. Among the list of former members of Parliament was Pakeisha Parker-Edgecombe, Travis Robinson, Don Saunders, and former Senators Jamal Moss and Dwight Sawyer.
We were encouraged by the turnout and the level of enthusiasm of those persons who were there, and the expression of support of persons after the event.
Pintard says he's never had aspirations to lead the FNM, but after the crushing defeat of the recent general election and realizing that the party was in an unfortunate situation, along with lots of encouragement, he decided to do so.
The calls came and they were frequent, and they were from some unexpected quarters in our organization. And it struck me then, and then I suspect it was solidified when there were persons who are presently wearing other colors who made the point that if you pursue this and you're successful, we are prepared to join you.
But he says it will take a unique skill set to rebuild and reconnect the party, and he has the ability to negotiate, unify, and more importantly, to serve.
Bringing the right temperament, willingness to work with persons who have dissenting views, comfortable being surrounded by persons who in some areas are much smarter than I am, but being able to work with them collaboratively.
But Pintard did receive some criticism for his decision to launch his leadership platform in Nassau.
Now that I'm offering for leader, those that know me well, that work with me, support the work that our team is doing. They understand. I came out of Parliament that day, and we're holding a launch in the evening. So it is a practical matter that it would be done in Nassau. But the overarching issue is I'm representing all Bahamians.
And when asked if he has been endorsed by any of the former FNM leaders who were prime ministers, he remained tight-lipped, only to assure that he has a lot of support by some of the major players within the party.
I will not preempt them by me making a public statement calling any particular names. I will only say that I enjoy the support of a number of persons who have led in various capacities in this organization. I believe I enjoy the support of persons who are, the majority of those persons who are national officers at varying levels.
Pintard believes that much work needs to be done, and the first thing he will do, if successful, is organize a conclave which will also include a post-mortem of the recent election and unify the party.
I'm going to actively lead the team in reaching out to Bahamians across the length and breadth of the country that wish to come home, members of the Free National Movement, the independents who previously would have committed to us, but they were doing their own thing this election, to ask them to once again join us. And then, of course, to reach out to members of the Progressive Liberal Party and let them know that we see them as brothers and sisters who on occasion have in fact voted for us. So we will keep the door open for them and welcome them at the point they decide to join.
2 other Grand Bahama members of Parliament have also announced their intent to run for leader of the FNM. That includes East Grand Bahama MP Kwesi Thompson and Central Grand Bahama MP Iram Lewis. So what happens once this convention is over?
At the end of the convention, no matter what the outcome is, you'll see the 3 of us together supporting this organization.
Well, Aliv is celebrating a major achievement. The telecommunications company has been providing the country with a wide range of services over the past 5 years. Top officials from the company traveled to Grand Bahama today to kick off the 5-year celebration. In this report, the executives are reflecting on the company's growth, success, and the way forward. Italia Hall reports.
Aliv now has over 20,000 customers here in the Northern Bahamas. According to officials, on November 11, 2016, the decision was made to put a contact center in Grand Bahama to strengthen the economy. The company's CEO says the 5-year milestone is a major achievement, adding that teams are working around the clock to ensure that Aliv delivers a high level of service that is consistent throughout the country.
For us, the 5 years have just been absolutely amazing. When you think about the time in terms of what we've accomplished, from the network and the people, the different innovative solutions we've provided for the people, not just here in Grand Bahama, but for across the entire Bahamas. Network Aliv has been that particular catalyst in terms of driving the communications sector in the Bahamas.
Now the company has been recognized by residents in the north for service provided during Hurricane Dorian. During the catastrophic storm, many were able to stay in contact with family members and friends as Aliv's cellular service system experienced minimal interruption. Group CIO Dwayne Davis reflecting on the company's growth. He says the second cellular tower owned by Aliv was brought online in Grand Bahama.
When we built it, there was always a NASA-centric approach. But the Northern Bahamas was always important to us because we felt it got neglected in many of the rollouts. And you saw that effect with Dorian, especially in Abaco and especially in Grand Bahama. Aliv is also unique 5.5 years later in the fact that you see before you for the first time an all Bahamian leadership team. Aliv is unique because all of our engineers at Managers Network are less than 30 years old, and they're all young professional Bahamians. Aliv is unique because when you dial 611, you get a Bahamian voice. You get a 24-hour support. And on top of that, you have a functional app, you have a functional IVR, you have a functional website.
Vice President of Customer Experience Alison Lavardi says she is proud of the customer experience that Aliv offers.
And so Grand Bahama has seen an economic impact because of the jobs that we offer. This contact center operates both in Grand Bahama and New Providence, as well as we service the entire Bahamas. It's 24/7. We like to say within our customer experience that we do not close, not even for the hurricanes. And so through Dorian, which you would have mentioned, that we remained open to service our customers.
General Manager for the Northern Bahamas, Dominic Petty, says he believes the company's most valuable contribution is their commitment to the community.
Aliv do whatever it takes to actually partner with various organizations to ensure that the reach is extended. So some of the organizations that we have partnered with over the course of the past 5 years, the Grand Bahama Children's Home, the Sir Charles Hayward Library, the Hope Society, the Grand Bahama Resiliency Center.
Now the executives will spend the next few days visiting the various Aliv stores on the island, meeting with staff and customers, as well as other stakeholders in Grand Bahama. It's Halia Hall, ZNS Network News.
Stay with us. We'll be back right after this.